And the champ.
大会5連覇中。そいつに勝てば世が世界一ということか。容疑の締めくくりにふさわしい。
You see that going into it, he's just so confident. He's like, all right, let's wrap it up. I'll beat the champ. I'll become the champ. But you know, it's respectable as well, right? I'll find out soon enough.
最後に残った軍議の世界王者を今、そば近くに招き入れた。
Save the best for last, eh?
お前と軍議で勝負を。
軍議。Right, that's right.
奴は死んだ。今は世が王だ。
それはご無礼しました。
He didn't say I killed him.
私本当にバカなもので、世の中のこととか。
It's all right there. It's all right there.
口の聞き方とかも全く。
Yeah.
黙れ。殺すぞ。
So as of this point, she might just think that this is just the next person in line.
大体分かった。
I basically understand.
やるぞ。
Fell asleep?
どうした？
失神してますね。黙れと言われ口を閉じて鼻が詰まっていたため呼吸ができなかったと推測。
Oh wow.
稀に見るアホだ。
Yeah, this is just.
お恥ずかしい限りっす。赤子でも普通にやってることさえできねえなって。親にもよく怒られてまして。
いいからやれ。はい。
Whoa. Look at that. Beautiful, striking, piercing.
お前、目が見えるのか？
いいえ、全く。なので、読み駒をお願いいたします。対局の時だけ開けてしまうんです。
Look at this.
明らかに空気が変わった。
That reaction though. It's a rare sight to see the king like that. Now, back in Heaven's Arena, they say, you know, people like this, the best. The best of the best, they do have Nen. Oh, oh no. I mean, yeah, from the outside looking in, yeah.
こっちは眉毛がないこと以上にあの上目遣いが自身の深い猜疑心あらわだぜ。こいつとは合う合わねえ以前、おそらく俺の言葉は右から左。
Okay, it's a bad start so far.
残念だがこいつらの初見は超バッド。よほどナイスなニュースがこの先ない限り、俺のハートが信頼で満ちることはまずねえぜ。
Hold on, hold on, hold on. Just stay put. Oh, right. Beats me, yeah, right, Knuckle. Yes.
餌やってたんだ。寝る時間まで削ってな。
全部じゃねえよ。時間がねえのは分かってる。んなことしてる場合じゃねえってのもな。だから明らかにダメそうなやつは見捨てた。
Yeah, okay. No one's buying it. It's okay, it's okay. Oh. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's right. Fair enough, fair enough. Look at that, it's beautiful. To pair these two up is just brilliant. You could just see it already. Shinobi. Oh.
血駒に弓を据え、攻防の拠点とする戦略、古典的な高櫓だ。指筋にも何ら変わったところはない。
Yeah, you read all about it just now.
初期神経も入門書レベル。
Ooh.
世の方が まだ
Oh,
本気で戦うに値せぬということ。
let's see how he handles this.
もう一曲だ。
喜んで
Oh, oh, yes. Oh, oh,
881牙
she loves it. She lives it. She's a champ for a reason, right?
もうよい。下がって休め。
いえいえ渡すなら全然平気軍技ならば3日3晩でなくとも
And that's why she's the champ.
いかがですか？
時間の問題だな。選択肢は多いが、本質は他の遊戯と等しい。あと 4,5 曲させば、奴の本気を引き出せよう。
Let's see.
さすれば奴の呼吸も見えてくる。何ら変わらぬわ。
王様、
Montu to
囲
Yuppie.
碁が首つって死んでました
Hmm. The laugh though.
あのアホを呼び戻す。
Oh, don't call her an idiot.
Deep Purple
That's brilliant. Deep purple. Oh. Purple.
まず核となるオーラを発し、それを煙のオーラで覆うと、核のオーラに込められた念の操作条件に従って自在に動き回る
Nice.
煙人形が完成。その数最大で216体。
Damn impressive.
相手のカウンターに備えてやや操作情報を複雑にしてるから
That's a great
50
shot.
体ぐらいしか同時には出しておけないが、その分高性能
Trade off.
面では人か人形か区別しきれないのもこっちの大きなアドバンテージ
That's clutch. So clutch. Look at him,
か
man.
といってレフェルピとはアリの性質上王のそばを離れない
He's really agile and graceful for a big guy. I really like the use of the narrator in the earlier scene, describing it. It's actually good to be in his headspace. Someone this experienced? Hey, the homie Chitu.
久しぶり。
ちレベルが上が
Oh,
った
oh,
前とは雰囲気が違
it's gone?
うナックルのポットグリーンがつ
Yeah, it didn't. The little cute little thing
俺
didn't
たち
pop
に
up?
変わった気配もねえし、しかし何かあればナックルたちから連絡があるはずだ。
Ooh, yeah, look at this.
ポットグリーンが消えてるってことは念を外せるやつが、
Oh my god.
それともやつ自身
So he has his ability now. Shala poof. Oh god.
何か新しい能力を得たな。
Yeah.
それがもし助念の能力だとしたらまずい。ナックルとシュートのやり方は完全なヒットアンドアウェイ。ナックルの箱割れをシュートがサポートする作戦だ。
They've got their own Nen
こ
Exorcist.
ちらの念で相手の念を封じ込める作戦は敵の中に助念師がいれば全く無駄にな
Unless
る。
it's part of Chitu's ability. Oof. Oh.
ならいくらでも対処できるぜ。足だけやろう。
It's not just speed, is
これ
it?
でお前が鬼だぜ。
はなんだと
Whoa. Oh shit, Greed Island. Probably not, but it looks just like it.
ここはサバンだ。どこかに飛ばされたってことか。
Yeah, did he just teleport to
こ
another
れが奴
pocket dimension?
助念は別のありの能力。
Ah.
最悪。
始めちゃうよ。鬼ごっこ。
ボディー
Ah.
ここは俺が作ったフィールド。お前は俺に触れない限り、ここから外に出られない。
Straight up teleportation tag. And of course, given his speed, it's quite the challenge.
8時間。
You see, there's inspiration from Knuckles' Hatsu as well, because of that encounter. But it's yep.
俺の話を聞いてたかい？俺にタッチしなきゃ、ここは出られないんだぜ。
This is quite an experienced approach.
どんな能力かは知らんが、これで8時間は戻ってこ
And even if you know nothing happens, you're still taking someone key
背景は壁。
for 8 hours at the
奴の言う
least.
通り、現実世界から隔絶された年空間のようだな。
Right. So this is being conjured, right?
ディー
Nice.
プパープルを回収すれば、この空間を覆い尽くす煙は余裕で出せる。隔絶空間から果たして解除の操作ができるのか。解除操作ができたとしても、そのオーラをこの空間に戻すことができるのか。最悪なのは、ディープパープルの
Yeah, and it doesn't return.
そのオーラをこの空間に戻せず回収できない場合、試すにはリスクが
Yeah, yeah,
高す
let
ぎ
it
る。
be, let it be.
ようやくやる気になったかい
I don't know about you guys, but I love G2.
リミット内に触れなきゃ俺はどうなるんだ。
さあねそ
Oh,
こまで教える義理はないな
that's true as well.
そりゃそうだ。やはり出られないだけじゃ済まなそうだ。長期戦だな。5時間経ったら起きてくれ。
You know, in their first encounter, they got a reaction out of Chitu, right? There it is again. He's got a bit of a temper.
ムカつけムカつけ。
Ah,
お
yeah.
前根本から自分の能力を誤解してるよ。
Yeah, it's so sudden,
これ
right?
は脚
To be
力
handed
の
that.
戦いじゃねえ。心の削り合いだよ。
And Moral's got that composure, right? Years, decades of experience.
ヒリンは G2 の助念で動けねえし。
Oh,
くそ。
I mean, I saw something similar in Great Island, right?
どう？
少し雲行きが
Oh, okay.
何度打っても王の勝ち目が出てた
Okay, yep. Oh, look how sad he is. Sad boy.
してということ。
282鳥で
She just dials in, eh?
初期配置から全く活路のなかった忍びがこの一手で全場を支配
Oh,
し
see, this is the type of thing I have to remember.
完全に右辺が
And
壊さ
this, right? On a larger scale.
れたバカな置き駒から積みまでの144手世の内筋を全て読まねばこの手
God
には至ら
damn.
ぬ次だ
Oh,
絶対にありえぬ
look at that. Ah,
荒れるね。
少女の強さに苛立つ王
good touch.
宮殿に嵐が近づいている。
Oh, that flew by, man. Okay, let's tackle this episode because, yeah, there's just a lot of fascinating setup here, right? And really interesting developments all around. But you know, first of all, let's look at this situation, right? A situation that has FILMBuFF concerned, right? Really concerned. You see the look on his face. You know, you can tell that he's thinking of the connotations of this situation, right? And how it could possibly play out from this point on. Because this right here is uncharted territory, right? And of course, you know, it's a fitting conclusion to have that storm roll in, those storm clouds roll in, right? It's just really quite effective. You know, it's a textbook approach, isn't it? But it's so damn effective in that situation. But let's look at the situation because here you have Meruem, right? The king, the light that illuminates all, right? This is the pinnacle. This is, you know, the elite specimen, right? The perfect being, the king, born to be king, born to be in this role, born to be better than anyone else. And at this point in time, he has run into his match, right? Hell, this is more than his match because this situation right here has all the makings of, you know, the one thing, perhaps the one thing he could not accomplish, the one thing he could not do, the one person he could not be. That's the feeling I have at this point in time, right? Going through that episode and kind of getting those segments throughout the episode, the Gungi matches, the games. And each time the king just becoming even more perplexed and baffled at how it's unfolding, right? You see, you know, earlier on, he's so confident, right? Again, based on his past, you know, matches against some of these other champions. But again, you know, those are national champions, right? And, you know, it's a bit of a different, it's a bit of a different scenario for them as well. You know, they are not blind right? They come in under, I don't know, really, intense circumstances, right? And, they're essentially scared shitless. Yet, they're still kind of able to hang in there, and they actually do beat the king, right? And it takes a few games for the king to essentially catch up and, go with the flow, catch the flow, understand their rhythm, and then he bested them, right? And one of them ended up hanging himself. So that right there is the king mentally breaking someone. And you see his really amused reaction to it, the really interesting laugh, And then came in the world champ of Gungi, right? A special person. This right here is a prodigy. This right here is someone who is a master of their craft. This is someone who falls perfectly in line with, the type of people, Master Wang is explaining or describing back in Heaven's Arena to Gon and Killua, right? These people, masters of their craft, the best of the best, they too have access to Nen, right? Now they're not using or developing active, intricate Hatsu abilities or anything, but their Nen, their life force, it kind of channels into their art, right? Be it combat sports, be it something like Gungi, and there's a lot of firsts in this episode, right? Especially in relation to the king, Meruem, right? I see a shocked look on his face. Hell, I see the most emotion I've seen from the king up until this point in the story, in this arc, right? He's always so in control. He's always so almost nonchalant, right? Bit of a laissez-faire attitude because everything is just so damn easy. Everything is just so, I don't know, boring for someone like him, right? Again, this is the pinnacle, the perfect being, right? He's meant to be the best of the best. He's born into it. It's his birthright, right, to be the king. But at that point about this being his birthright, this position, it doesn't really drive all of his motives, right? His philosophy, his morals. You see here, or I saw really early on that he's disgusted by the notion of nepotism, the idea that these incompetent fools or goofy humans or people that are just not fit for the roles that they're kind of being handed, these roles that they're just kind of landing into, right? Much like he kind of landed into his own role, even if he is born competent for that role, he's still all about earning that. And you see that through these games, yes, they're kind of establishing it as, okay, he's just trying to pass some time, but there's much more to it than that, of course. These really specific games are all about tactics and strategy, mental fortitude. But even with his strength-focused philosophy, right, he still wants to have the mental edge as well, right? He wants to conquer these people or conquer people mentally as well, to earn that rank by besting the best. Right, he's done it against the national champs, and going into this, he is really quite confident about besting the champ as well, the world champ, right? And that it's only a matter of time, right? He's just getting ready to finish it all up. He's like, yeah, this should be a good ending. I mean, the level she's operating at is just staggering, isn't it? Right? To get that type of reaction out of the king, to have him on the back foot in this manner, it's just such a jarring sight, isn't it? Again, for both, me as the audience member and people like FILMBuFF and Neferpito, but FILMBuFF specifically because he's been taking it in, right, for hours at this point, because they've been playing for hours, and she does not get tired, right? She just lives for this. You can just tell immediately that, this game, right, or playing the game, it's just so intrinsically attached to her joy, her inner joy, right? So, that makes me think about, how exactly or why exactly, this means so much to her, right? The origins of it. Now, I'm not asking for, a backstory or anything, but, it's still interesting to think about it, how she got into this. And again, it kind of goes back to my question from the last episode as well, was she born blind? Did she end up becoming blind? Right? But, the thing is, that aspect of it, other than maybe, a few interesting things that are at play here. Possibly, it feels like her being blind, it does not hinder anything at all. Sure, she might require a bit of honest input from her opponents, right? As in, could you please let me know your move? But I feel like the moment she gets that input, the confirmation of the move or her opponent's move, I feel like, the board itself, the pieces of the board itself and the placement, it's something so vivid in her mind, in her imagination, right? So much so that it almost feels like she's actually just looking at it in front of her. And, this idea of her only opening her eyes during the games, during the matches, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Right? The choice behind that. Now, at no point did I think that, something's at play here. Some kind of Hatsu ability is at play here. And, she's kind of enhancing her playing skills, right? That, she's actively using Hatsu. I just don't get that feeling. This just feels like someone who is just beyond a master. And I love how, through her introduction, it's been flipped on its head, right? You have these national champs who have to face the king, who have to look at the king. They have to look at these Chimera ants, right? You're going to get a reaction out of them. But here, through our Gungi champ, you see that it's Meruem who has a reaction, right? After he feels the sudden shift, after he sees those eyes, those piercing, beautiful eyes. It's crazy that even though she cannot see, those eyes, man, you just see that they're dialed in. She's locked in. And this is one of the tropes I really enjoy, right? It's like a ditzy or easygoing individual. I mean, at this point, they've effectively set up that, she's someone who considers herself, a fool who knows nothing, right? I mean, there's a line of dialogue, I know nothing of the outside world, right? Even though she is the world champ. And then you have Meruem just saying things like, this is an uncommonly stupid girl, right? I mean, they really hammer it home, don't they? That, okay, this girl is just really simple. But, like I said, I love that trope of, someone that is just that, laid back and, again, that goofy and that, that fun. But, they're able to dial in. They're able to lock in that they are super competent at that one thing. I just love that trope so much. I mean, it's an exciting moment. It really is. At this point, I am getting all the things I was hoping for, right? It's the beginning stages of it, right? And it's just, it feels like I can see the direction this is heading into. I mean, that was kind of becoming clear in the last episode as well. But now, it's like, okay, all right, man, strap in. Because the king is going to have so many internal struggles and, conundrums and questions. You see that he's already at it. He's just thinking about it and he's just thinking, okay, this is impossible. Like, how is this actually happening? I mean, at this point, the door has been opened, right? Because, again, across the king sits someone that is not a threat at all physically, not even close. This is a fragile human or being that sits in front of him, right? No threat at all. But this fragile human is highly intelligent, one of a kind, a prodigy, right? With immense resolve and spirit and this deep love and understanding of this particular game. As this plays out, right, and as the king keeps losing, and it sounds like he's going to keep losing here, again, going back to FILMBuFF's concern, how exactly is this going to affect the king's outlook? I mean, his idea of strength, what even qualifies as strength anymore, right? Again, looking at it from his perspective, if he cannot even beat this, goofy, stupid girl, again, based on his first reading of her and the appearances and how she behaves. But before, it kind of gets into the meat of this internal reflection, it appears that, okay, he's a little bit agitated at this point. He's on edge. So at this point, it is going to be interesting to see the immediate aftermath of this, his immediate behavior. But, kind of going back to her actual entrance, at this point, she doesn't even know that, these are just totally different creatures or a totally different being that's sitting in front of her. Right? It appears that she believes, okay, I suppose the former supreme leader, in her mind at least, has passed on, because Meruem didn't say he killed him, right? My understanding is that she believes this is just the successor, right? Now, I'm not sure. They didn't really show it. Maybe they did. Maybe I didn't catch it. I think they might have removed the dead bodies, right? Because ultimately, at some point after, hours, she might have caught the dead body odor, But let me kind of shift the focus to the other really engaging part of this episode, and that is the focus on moral. This is just really cool because, up until this point, or, for the most part, I've spent a lot of time in Killua's headspace, or just Killua and Gon in general, right? These are youngsters, right? They're impressive youngsters, but they're youngsters. They're learning, right? They're learning about the world and the really interesting and unique people that are a part of this world. But now, there's this perspective shift to someone like Moral, this impact character, this flat arc character, right? And you can take a totally different type of approach with exposition, right? Because this is someone who is essentially the final product. Even in storytelling terms, you can take a totally different type of approach from their perspective. I mean, I love those segments of him assessing Chitu, right? This newly upgraded Chitu, right? Who's been given his Hatsuno, from Shawapoof or by Shawapoof. But the crazy thing is, it's so clear that he's taken inspiration from Knuckle, right? This is not the first time I've seen something like this. Back around episode 85, you see that Neferpito is actually really quite excited and really just quite interested in Kite's abilities, his really specific Hatsu. She's really quite excited by it, right? So it leaves an impression. It certainly left an impression on Chitu, right? So you see that his Hatsu incorporates the tagging element, right? That you do have to make contact. Ultimately, it's a game of tag, right? But before any of that can happen, you get teleported. Once you get tagged, you get teleported into something that appears to be kind of similar to Nov. I mean, this is also kind of a pocket dimension, right? You're stuck there, but just getting the chance to be in his headspace, to listen in on his internal monologue, it's really a bit of a treat, right? It feels so different than the things I'm kind of used to, with Gon and Killua, right? His assessment of the situation, right? His reading of Nen, his own Nen, the allocation of his aura. I mean, he's damn impressive. His ability is damn impressive. And, like I said, I appreciate how the narrator is actually being used in this case. Or in this situation, because it makes sense for the narrator to come in and explain how exactly Moral makes these soldiers, right? The shadow puppets, and kind of goes through it step by step, really clear. But then, I'll have to be honest here. There's a moment that kind of felt a little bit, out of place, a little bit jarring, because, at one point, it's essentially Moral just explaining his own ability to himself, right? Because again, it's this internal monologue. It doesn't quite make sense that, he's thinking about the mechanics of his own ability that he knows inside and out, right? He's explaining it, or it's being presented in a manner that is meant to be for the audience, but it just doesn't, it's not natural, is it? And I'm speaking of him, explaining that, this time he's made the 50, and that's because, these ones are much stronger, they can respond, or they are responsive. And that, one of the key factors here is that, N cannot detect if it's a real human or if it's just, again, one of these shadow puppets. I mean, I feel like they easily just could have used a narrator for that segment as well, I mean, the narrator's already explaining other parts of the abilities, right? So might as well just explain that as well. But again, soon after that, I really enjoyed all of that internal monologue, him assessing Chitu, him assessing the situation Chitu's put him in, right? And how exactly he's treating Chitu. This is his experience, decades of experience and composure all at play here. He knows how to get a reaction out of someone like Chitu, right? He's already done it. He's seen it in their first encounter. He takes a really deliberate approach here, right? And chooses to not engage, just be nonchalant about it, just almost ignore everything that Chitu has to say about this. But even though it appears that, Knuckles' APR has been removed, or actually not removed, kind of passed on, I think that's a distinction here, right? You can't really remove it. It kind of has to be passed on, right? Again, I had set up for this back in Great Island, right? The Nen Exorcist and that parasite that he had to take on. And, it appears to be a similar situation here as well. The third member of that little trio, one of his lackeys, she took on the APR, or, that Nen. That foreign Nen, foreign to them at least. But, in her case, she's literally carrying it, right? She's pregnant. But that being said, Moral actually believes that even though the APR is removed from Chitu, that it actually already weakened him quite a bit, right? So I'm kind of interested in seeing how that plays out. Actually, I should kind of finish up my point about FILMBuFF giving Chitu this ability. So it appears that indeed FILMBuFF is able to kind of get a read on these Chimera ants or any of these other Chimera ants and some of their recent experiences or just their experiences altogether perhaps. And, based on all of that, he's given him an ability that has a connection to Knuckle, right? The inspiration is there. And yeah, this whole idea of, having to catch Chitu, in the 8-hour time span, of course, it makes perfect sense for someone like him, for a speedster, but it's only effective if your opponent actually, engages and actually tries to chase you down. You see Chitu's just ready to go. He's having a blast out there. But no, Moral's not having it. He's not going to let Chitu have any of this. And then, of course, because of that, he's going to begin to get reactions out of Chitu. I'm already seeing it, right? He's already kind of on edge. But then also, a point I made maybe in the last episode or the episode before that, this idea of just handing people Hatsu abilities. It's not the same as, developing it yourself over the years and then mastering it, right? Fine-tuning it. It's just not the same. And you see, Moral picks up on this, that, okay, it's clear that Chitu has an ability. He's been given an ability here that's suited to him, of course, but, he doesn't quite even understand it completely himself, right? The connotations of it, the outcome or the price that has to be paid. But, this also showed us that Knuckle didn't actually even, know that his APR has been removed or it's been passed on to someone else. But then speaking of Knuckle and Shoot as well, Melioron gets his first look at them, right? Gon told him, you can keep your distance, just take it all in and, just assess the people that are in front of you, my partners, my associates, the rest of the extermination squad. It starts off on not the greatest note, right? But then, he gets to see Knuckles' true nature. Because before that, it's all about, judging a book by its cover. He rips on his fashion sense. He gets a read on him just based on his really distinct facial expressions. And, he essentially sees him as someone who is combative, someone who is looking for a fight, not someone that is agreeable. Again, that's from the outside looking in. But then again, once you kind of get to know him a bit, it's the same thing. It's the same thing that happened for me as an audience member, right? I saw him for the first time. I feel like I was in Melioron's shoes because I also kind of had the same read on him, remember? But that's immediately changed the moment I see him, really care for the stray dog that shows up. And then lastly, going back to the Gungi matches or games, the rules or the mechanics of the game don't make any sense to me. Right? Though, the thing is, it's not as if the show is making an attempt to teach us the rules or the mechanics of the game, right? So I'm not even sure if this is, you'll have to let me know if this is an actual thing, an actual game. I'm sure, they made it an actual game, even if it's a made up thing, even if Togashi made it up, I'm sure, fans or maybe even in an official capacity, they might have actually made the game and released it. But the thing is, I think it's an interesting choice. Maybe it's the right choice because if you have it be something like chess, you can have actual chess players. I'm talking about real people that watch the show that could really kind of get dialed into that and really kind of, pick some of those moves apart, right? I feel like by possibly introducing a made up game, right? Even though the game itself just feels so, authentic that, it exists, within that world. It just, it feels like Togashi can kind of almost not hide behind some of these, moves or the mechanics of it, but kind of sell it through their reactions, right? Rather than our own reactions to the moves or the mechanics of it, right? And I'm speaking of Meruem's reactions specifically, because he certainly has a basic understanding, a proper understanding for the basic rules of the game, right? and you know the movements and all of that, the mechanics of it. And then of course through his internal monologue, he'll narrate it, right? He'll kind of go step by step, and he'll be like, "Oh, you know, this should have actually played out, right? But it didn't." And you know, the thing is, he'll specifically say some things that sound like, okay, you know, this could easily be something that might play out or has played out already, possibly, right? In the series or in this arc. Right. But, you know, in this case, I feel like some of the things he's saying here, you know, there's this one moment, the line of dialogue where, you know, he's kind of narrating the play as it happened or after it happened. You know, he spoke of the spy, right? The spy has done nothing this entire match, but suddenly it controls the board. You know, that just really, truly felt like, okay, you know, this could be foreshadowing. This could be something, you know. But again, you know, the key component of it is, you know, who exactly could this spy be? Right? Who fits that perfectly, right? Let's see, you know, so this is something I'm taking a note of for sure, right? Anything that really comes out of these matches. But yeah, I think that's a great episode. You know, it's really engaging. And like I said, a lot of interesting setup and interesting developments throughout the episode. And I'm really quite excited to get to the next one, man. I really am. And of course, you know, there's also setup for Nov's potential encounter. Right? It's imminent at this point. You know, Liol, who's trying to hide his ability from everyone because, again, he's got his own grand plans, right? To become king and all of that. I mean, he'll find out soon enough that it's not going to play out how he thinks it's going to play out. You know, just like how Ramot got a reality check, a dose of reality, same thing's going to happen for Liol at some point. But for now, you know, it looks like I'm going to get to see Nov in action. And then, of course, an extension to Nov, possibly Palm as well, unless, you know, he's asked Palm to stay put, to stay hidden, to be out of sight for now. Actually, look at that. Palm is the one that's kind of really sitting out, not doing anything at the moment, right? And, you know, I spoke of that line earlier, right? The play that happened during the Gungi match. You know, the spy has done nothing this entire match, right? So, you know, Palm could be a candidate for something like that, right? And then, of course, you've got someone like Melioron as well. Right? That could kind of function as a spy. But yeah, you know, ultimately I do hope and I really do feel that Palm is going to have her moment, right? The moment. And I hope that any potential breakthrough moment hopefully kind of ties into her own character progression and development as well, right? I've got high hopes for Palm as well. I do. But yeah, I think that should do it for this one, folks. If you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in early access or timer-based full length or full opacity, consider checking out the Patreon page and potentially supporting the channel as well. The links are in the description and the pinned comment, also links to social media if that's your thing. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you for your time because time is precious. And I do hope to see you again soon for the next one. Until then, take it easy.